Welcome back to the deep dive. Usually when we sit down to prep for these, I have a pretty clear mental model of what we're about to do. I grab my coffee, I look at the stack of papers you've sent over, and I say, okay, today is a history episode, or
today's a hard tech episode.
exactly, or maybe today is philosophy. It's comforting. We like boxes. Boxes make sense.
We do. Humans love categorization. It's how we organize the chaos.
It really is. But today, I sat down with this stack of documents, white papers, manifestos, technical diagrams, and I tried to put it in a box. I tried cinema.
Didn't fit.
It didn't fit. I tried video games.
Also didn't fit.
Not even close. I even tried AI tech demo, and that just felt like calling the Sistine Chapel a ceiling painting. I think we might have broken the box today.
I think we might have dissolved the box entirely.
Yeah.
We're looking at something that it refuses to sit still in any existing category.
We are. We're looking at a stack of documents that feels less like a product launch and more like a transmission from 5 or 10 years in the future.
That's a great way to put it.
We are talking about a system called Synthia and a specific story created within it called Kemet's Enigma. And on the surface, you know, if you just glance at the screenshots, it looks like we're talking about a movie.
Sure. Or a very, very high-fidelity video game.
Right. But the more I read, the more I realized it's neither. It's not even a hybrid of the two.
It's really neither. It is an entirely new medium.
Yeah.
The source material, it actually refers to it potentially as the 11th art.
The 11th art. That is a massive claim.
Yes, it's a huge claim. But once you understand the architecture, I think it starts to feel earned.
Okay, so let's start where the creator started. The hook that really, really grabbed me wasn't the technology itself, but the problem that birthed it.
Why?
The why. This whole journey for the creator, Adel Abdel-Dayem, it started with a wall, a creative dead end.
Yes, the story that couldn't be told.
Right. He had this story, Kemet's Enigma. It's set in this, mythic version of ancient Egypt. They were talking recursive mysteries, time loops, symbolic riddles.
Gods that are actually systems. It's heady stuff.
It's very dense. And he tried to make it. He tried to write it as a screenplay, and he hit a wall. He realized the story was literally impossible to tell in that format.
And that's such a fascinating place to start, isn't it? I mean, usually when a writer hits a wall, they compromise.
Of course.
They simplify. They say, okay, this subplot is just too complicated. Let's cut it.
Or, this time loop is confusing. Let's make it a linear flashback.
Exactly. They flatten the timeline to fit the medium. They make the story serve the container.
Because a movie is a linear strip of film. It starts at minute 1, goes to minute 90, and that's it. It ends.
Exactly. Cinema is rigid. It's what he calls a recorded reality. And if you have a story like Kemet's Enigma, where the mystery is recursive, and that's the key word.
What do you mean by recursive exactly?
It means the past literally changes based on what you discover in the future. Finding a clue in the third act might change the meaning or even the memory of something that happened in the first act.
Okay, so a linear format just completely destroys the essence of that.
It shatters it. You force a circle into a straight line. It's like trying to explain a sphere by showing someone a single photograph of it. You lose all the depth.
All right, so he scraps the movie idea, he pivots, he thinks, video games, that's the logical next step, right? Games are interactive.
It seems like it.
You can have branching paths, you can have multiple endings, that seems like the fix.
You would think so.
Yeah.
But games, they have the opposite problem. Video games act like branching trees. You go left or you go right.
A or B.
Right. But games optimize for the player. They optimize for winning.
Press X to not die.
Exactly. And for a story about myth, about awe, about recursive meaning, giving the player total control, it actually breaks the immersion.
How so?
It becomes a logic puzzle. The player stops caring about the atmosphere, about the story, and they start looking for the win state.
They start trying to game the system.
They sprint past the beautiful hieroglyphs because they want to find the key to beat the level. The player's agency gets in the way of the narrative's agency.
So you have cinema, which is too rigid, too controlled, and then you have games, which are too gamey and break the narrative tension.
Precisely. You're stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
And usually a creator would just choose one and, deal with the downsides.
Grin and bear it.
Yeah. But Adel Abdel-Dayem did something completely radical. He decided that if the medium didn't exist to tell his story,
he would invent the medium.
He would invent the medium.
That is the definition of ambition.
That is what Synthia is. It's not just a piece of software. It's a narrative engine.
Yeah.
Or, as I love to call it, a myth engine.
Myth engine. I want that on a t-shirt. But let's try to ground this for everyone listening because myth engine sounds very abstract, very grand.
It is, but the sources give us this incredible elevator pitch metaphor. It says, think of Synthia like a living board game combined with a movie.
Okay, let's unpack that. A living board game.
Right. So let's unpack that slowly. Imagine a board game. Maybe a very complex, beautiful one. The board itself is the world, the physical environment.
The desert, the tombs, the lighting.
All of that. The pieces are the characters. But unlike, plastic pawns in Monopoly, these pieces have actual memories.
They have personalities. They have fears.
They have brains.
Okay.
And the rules of the game. Those are the story anchors, the things that must happen.
Yeah.
The major plot beats.
So you set up the board, you place the pieces, you define the rules, and then what? You don't roll dice.
You press play. And the system computes the story. It simulates the interaction between those characters with brains and that reactive world, all in real time.
And what comes out the other side? It looks like a movie.
It looks like a movie. It has cinematic lighting, camera angles, pacing. But it is being generated live. It's a simulation that outputs cinema.
That is the part that melts my brain a little bit. We are going to spend this hour really trying to understand how we move from recorded reality, which is what Hollywood does,
The fossil, as he calls it.
to computable myth. Because this isn't just about prompting an AI to make a funny video of Will Smith eating spaghetti. This is about architecture.
It is deeply architectural. To really get this, we need to talk about neural thespians, we need to talk about world physics, and we need to talk about something called the narrative graph. This is about building a system that is, for all intents and purposes, alive.
Let's dive into the core philosophy first then, because there is a phrase in the source material that I think defines this whole thing. Emergence under constraint.
Yes.
Or even more interestingly, paradoxical freedom.
Paradoxical freedom is the heartbeat of Synthia. It sounds like a contradiction, doesn't it? How can you be free if you're constrained?
Right. Usually we think of freedom as a total lack of rules. Anarchy.
But look at how people currently use AI for video. It's mostly what we call the black box method. You type a prompt into Sora or Runway or VO.
Show me a cat on a skateboard in the style of Wes Anderson.
Right. And you hope for the best. You pull a slot machine lever.
And sometimes you get a masterpiece, and sometimes you get something horrifying.
Exactly. You get what you get. Maybe the cat has 5 legs. Maybe the skateboard is floating in a way that makes no sense. It's random. It's chaotic. You have no real control. That isn't freedom. That's just chaos.
And you can't build a 90-minute narrative on a foundation of chaos. It would fall apart.
No. It would be incoherent. Synthia rejects the slot machine. The philosophy here is scalable autorism.
Scalable autorism.
Yeah.
So one person as the author.
Right. The idea is that you, the human author, are not micromanaging every single frame. You aren't animating the cat's tail manually, but you aren't just crossing your fingers and hoping either. You are orchestrating a system.
So what does paradoxical freedom mean in that context?
It means the intelligence, the AI characters, operates autonomously. They can think, they can decide, they can feel, they have freedom.
Okay.
But, and this is the big but, they only operate within boundaries defined by the human author.
So they are free to act, but they are not free to break the universe.
Precisely. Think of a chessboard again. The pieces can move in billions of combinations. They have incredible freedom within those 64 squares.
But a bishop cannot suddenly decide to move like a knight.
Can't. A pawn cannot fly. The rules constrain the freedom, and that's what makes the outcome meaningful.
And in Synthia, the author sets those constraints.
Yes. The personality of the character, the physics of the world, the major plot points that must happen, and then the AI improvises the journey between those points.
This comparison they make between cinema, games, and Synthia really clarifies things for me. The source breaks it down like this. Cinema records reality.
Right.
It offers total authorial control, but zero variation. Once you film it, it's done. It's a fossil.
A beautiful fossil, maybe. It captures a specific moment of light and performance forever. But it's dead. It cannot change.
Then you have games. Games simulate reality, but it's for the player. They prioritize player agency.
The world revolves around you, the person holding the controller.
But Synthia computes reality. That's a different verb.
That distinction is vital. In a game, the simulation is for you. In Synthia, the simulation is for the characters. The audience is just a witness.
A witness to what?
We are watching a system that is creating its own history, its own story. It simulates agency for these neural thespians. They're the ones struggling, deciding, fearing, We're just watching their reality unfold through a window.
And because it's computed, not recorded, it brings in this concept of irreversibility. I found this fascinating. In a video game, if I make a mistake, if I die,
You reload the save,
I reload the save, I try again, no harm, no foul.
which emotionally cheapens the death, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If you can just undo a mistake with a button press, the mistake has no weight, there's no tension.
Completely. It teaches you that consequences are temporary. But in Synthia,
In Synthia, mistakes become canon. If a character creates a misunderstanding in scene 1, that misunderstanding ripples through the entire rest of the story.
it's not a bug, it's a feature.
It's the story. The world pushes back. Failure shapes the narrative.
Yeah.
You can't just reload because the story is constantly evolving based on the state of the simulation. It creates a tension that, honestly, you usually only get in live theater.
It really is the living film concept. It looks like a movie, feels like a movie, but underneath the hood, it's a biological system.
Biology is a great metaphor because biology is just complex behavior emerging from a set of simple rules.
Cells don't have a script.
They have rules. DNA. And that brings us to the architecture. How do you actually build one of these things?
Right, let's get technical, but not too technical. I don't want to lose anyone in the weeds. But the sources lay out the tech stack in a way that's actually really intuitive.
It is.
They call it the correct triangle: mind, body, and law.
This is such a lucid way to explain AI integration. Most people right now are trying to jam everything into one giant AI model.
One model to rule them all.
Yeah, they want one AI to do the thinking, the visuals, the physics, everything. And it becomes a mess. Synthia separates them. It's a modular system.
So let's start with the first point of the triangle, the mind.
The mind is the LLM, the large language model. Think ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. Its job is pure cognition.
So it's the brain.
It's the brain in the jar. It handles decision-making, memory, intent. It decides what the character wants to do.
Okay, so the mind says, I am angry, I want to throw this chair.
Exactly. But the mind is just processing text and logic. It's abstract. It doesn't know what a chair is physically. It doesn't know how heavy it is or what it's made of.
It has no concept of the physical world.
None. That's where you need the second point of the triangle, the body.
And the body is Unreal Engine 5, a game engine.
Correct. The body handles space, physics, time, visibility. It enforces consequences. The mind says, throw the chair, but the body determines. Is the chair too heavy for this character? Is there a wall in the way? Does it shatter when it hits the ground?
So the mind hallucinates an intention, but the body forces it to obey the rules of reality.
Perfectly put. This is how you solve the AI hallucination problem that plagues so many other systems. The AI can want to fly, but the body says gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. You fall. End of story.
And then at the top of the triangle, holding it all together, you have the law.
The law is the human author. The law sets the constraints. The law says, in this world, gravity works like this, or this character has a phobia of snakes and can never touch one, or the story must end at the pyramid.
So the law provides the fundamental structure that prevents the chaos.
It's the constitution of the universe.
Yeah.
Mind, body, law. You need all three for it to work.
This bottom-up build process described in the manifesto, the 7 layers, really shows how granular this gets. You don't start by writing a script. It starts with artifacts.
Yes, and this is so crucial. Layer 1 is artifacts. These are the atoms of meaning, physical objects in the world.
A torch, a stone tablet, a weapon.
Exactly. You define what they are and what they mean. You don't just put a dagger in the game. You define it as the dagger of betrayal. You define what it looks like in the body and what it represents in the law.
So before you even have a scene, you have the stuff of the scene, the meaningful objects.
Right. Then layer 2 is knows. You group those artifacts into story moments or events. Discovery of the tablet becomes a node. It's a potential scene.
And layer 3 is Thespians, the characters who actually move and observe and interact with the nodes.
It's like building a simulation from the atoms up, not the script down.
It really is. What are the other layers?
Layer 4 is channels how the world expresses meaning. Visually, through audio, through text. Layer 5 is states. This one is interesting.
States.
Emotional or existential conditions. A character isn't just standing there. They're in a state of hesitation or awe or suspicion. And that state affects their actions.
And layer 6 is rules, which is the logic of the world. Causality.
Yes. And finally, layer 7 is latent spaces. That's the mind of the sister as a whole, the part that's constantly predicting possibilities.
I want to zoom in on layer 2 and layer 6 for a second, specifically regarding the narrative graph, because this is how the story actually moves forward, right? It's not a straight line.
Correct. Traditional scripts are linear. Scene A leads to scene B leads to scene C, no exceptions. Synthia uses what's called the directed graph.
Okay, visualize that for me.
Imagine a map of dots connected by lines. The dots are the nodes, the events. Find the key, open the door, read the scroll.
Right.
Some of those nodes are fixed. They're immutable. These are the anchors. For example, in Kemet's Enigma, the discovery of the hidden chamber is an anchor. It must happen for the story to work.
So the story can't just wander off and become a cooking show instead.
Exactly. The anchor ensures narrative coherence. It's a promise to the audience. But the lines between the dots, the edges, those are flexible.
The journey between the dots.
Yes. The AI improvises the journey between the peaks. It must hit the peaks, but how it gets there, the specific dialogue, the pacing, the hesitation, the route they take through the level, that is emergent, that's born in the moment.
This solves the plot hole problem, doesn't it?
It completely does. Plot holes usually happen in movies when a writer forces a character to do something stupid just to move the plot along.
The classic, why did he go into the basement alone moment. We're all shouting at the screen.
And the only answer is, because the script said so.
Right.
But here, the system relies on causality. The AI has to find a logical path from anchor A to anchor B based on the character's psychology and the state of the world.
So if the character is defined as a coward,
if their fear state is high, the system cannot just make them walk into the dark basement casually. It would break the simulation's logic. They have to be forced or tricked or find a reason to be brave enough. The story has to earn its beats.
let's talk about the things creating that path then. The neural Thespians, I feel like calling them NPCs is just, it's an insult.
It is a massive insult. In a video game, an NPC is a cardboard cutout. It has a dialogue
Yeah,
tree.
we click on them. They say one of 3 lines.
Right. If you ask it, where is the inn? It says the inn is down the road. If you ask it again, it says the exact same thing. It's a script. It's a loop.
It's a vending machine. You put in a coin, you get a canned response.
That's a perfect analogy. A neural Thespian is a state machine with internal psychology. It's an agent. It has a mind.
The source gives us a specific example, a character named Marwan from Kemet's Enigma. And he's not defined by lines of dialogue. He's defined by a state vector.
Right. Imagine a dashboard representing Marwan's brain in real time. You have these sliders that are constantly moving.
What kind of sliders?
Knowledge, 0.25. Fear, 0.60. Obsession with the mystery, 0.85. And every interaction in the world adjusts those sliders.
So if he enters a dark tomb...
The fear slider might shoot up to 0.75. And here's the magic. These states interact. If his fear gets too high, it starts to override his knowledge.
What do you mean?
He might know the combination to a lock, but if his fear is at 0.95, he panics. He forgets. He fumbles the keys. He gets it wrong.
Just like a real person, stress makes us stupid.
Exactly. And he has a memory graph. This is huge. He doesn't just have lines. He remembers past events from this specific playthrough.
So it's not a pre-written backstory. It's a lived memory.
Yes. If he was traumatized by a scorpion in Scene 1, and he sees a slight movement in the sand in Scene 5, that memory triggers a fear response. He reacts based on his lived experience in the simulation, not just what the current scene requires.
There's this concept of partial observability that's mentioned that seems really important for this.
It's vital for realism.
Yeah.
In bad writing, characters sometimes seem to know things they shouldn't just because the plot needs them to.
The Deus Ex Machina moment where they just happen to know the villain's plan.
Right. In Synthia, the neural Thespian only knows what it has personally seen or perceived. Marwan doesn't know the plot. He doesn't know there's a surprise twist waiting for him in the next chamber. He only knows what is in his memory graph and what his sensors in the Unreal Engine world see right now.
So how does this actually run, like frame by frame? The sources mention something called a tick loop. What is that?
This is the engine room. This is the cycle that happens dozens of times every second.
Okay, walk me through one tick.
Step 1. The agent observes the world through Unreal Engine. It's like his eyes and ears. What do I see? What do I hear?
I see a closed door. I hear a faint scratching sound.
Step 2. That raw observation goes to the mind, the LLM. The mind processes it through the filter of its beliefs, its memories, its current state vector. I see a door, but I'm terrified of what's behind it because I remember the scorpion.
Okay, so it contextualizes the data. What's step 3?
Step 3. The agent outputs an intention. And it's important that it's an intention, not an action.
What's the difference?
An action is open the door. An intention is, I want to try to open the door.
Ah, okay. And then the body takes over.
Step 4. The body attempts to execute the intention. Step 5. The world pushes back. Maybe the door is locked. Maybe his hands are shaking too much because his fear vector is at 0.90 and he can't get the key in the lock.
So the outcome isn't guaranteed?
Never. And the result, success or failure, becomes the new reality. It updates his memory graph in his state vector, and the loop starts again.
That process, that loop, is what creates such granular detail. It's not just he opens the door, it's he walks to the door, hesitates, his hand shakes, he reaches for the handle, pulls back, takes a breath, and then tries to open it.
And that micro-expression, that hesitation, that wasn't scripted by a human, that emerged from the collision of his state vector and the world physics. It's emergent behavior.
Speaking of world physics, in Kemet's Enigma, we aren't just dealing with normal Newtonian physics, right? Gravity and friction. We're dealing with what the manifesto calls symbolic physics. This is where my mind really started to bend.
This is where Synthia moves from being a very clever simulation to being, well, art. In a normal game engine, gravity is just 9.8 meters per second squared. It's a constant. It's boring.
But in Kemet's Enigma...
The laws of physics are tied to meaning. There are variables.
I'll give an example from the text.
Okay. Gravity might increase based on a character's guilt state.
Whoa, hold on. So if you feel guilty, you are literally physically heavier.
In the simulation, yes. If Marwan is carrying a heavy secret, the physics engine literally makes him heavier. He moves slower, he drags his feet, he tires more easily. The world reflects his internal state.
That is wild. What about light?
Light isn't just photons for illumination. In this system, light represents truth.
So it's a metaphor made real by the engine.
Exactly. If the truth variable in the scene increases, say a character makes a confession, the lighting engine changes automatically. The light might cool down, become sharper, clearer, shadows literally retreat.
And if deception rises?
The shadows might physically lengthen, obscuring vision. The environment is an active participant in the storytelling.
A pyramid isn't just a building.
No. In the source code, a pyramid is defined as a memory engine. Its internal geometry might actually shift and change based on how much history has been uncovered by the characters.
This extends to the camera work too, right? Because if you have these AI characters running around improvising, who is filming them, there's no cameraman.
You need an AI cinematographer.
Right.
But again, it's not random. It's not just a floating drone. It follows a visual constitution.
A set of rules for how to shoot a scene.
Exactly. The camera behavior is driven by the meaning of the scene. The sources describe different shot types based on the narrative state.
Like the witness shot. What's that?
The witness shot. This is used for moments of discovery. The camera behaves like a human observer. It's at eye level, maybe with a slight handheld movement. It's grounding us in history. It says, I am here seeing this unfold.
And the oracle shot.
The oracle shot is when the camera knows more than the characters. It might be a high angle, a surveillance style. It creates this sense of dread, of being watched by fate. It implies there's a larger system at play that the characters can't see.
And the tomb shot. That one sounds ominous.
It's used for memories. Slow motion, no cuts. The camera behaves like memory itself, thick, viscous, inescapable. It's used for flashbacks or moments of deep trauma.
This whole system, this visual constitution, it prevents that dreamlike weirdness we see in current AI video, doesn't it?
It's the solution to it.
The hallucination where the camera just sort of floats through a wall because it doesn't understand objects.
Exactly. AI video hallucinations happen because the AI doesn't understand 3D space or object permanence. It's just morphing pixels. In Synthia, every single frame is constrained by spatial, temporal, and symbolic logic from Unreal Engine. The camera can't just fly through a wall unless the symbolic logic of the scene permits it, like in a dream sequence. It grounds the visuals in a believable reality.
So I'm the listener, I'm the audience, I'm completely sold on the concept. How do I actually experience this? Do I go to a theater? Do I download an app? What is the interface?
It's likely a runtime application. So think of a game you download from Steam. It's probably either that, running on your PC, or more likely, streaming from the cloud. The key is you aren't playing a video file.
I am running a live simulation.
You are. And the interface can have layers.
Layers.
So layer 1 is the cinematic window, the movie itself. You can just watch it like a film, and you'd never know it was being generated live.
But there's more.
Yes. You might also have an overlay panel. This is optional. But think of it like seeing the brain of the system.
Like a director's commentary, but for the AI?
Kind of. You could see Marwan's current fear level as a bar graph on the side of the screen. You could see the active narrative nodes. Node. Discovery of chamber active. It's like looking under the hood of the story while it's running.
And there's the potential for micro-interaction.
Yes. And this is subtle. You aren't steering the character like a puppet. That would turn it back into a game.
So what can you do?
You might be able to nudge the environment. Maybe you can change the ambient lighting, make it a little darker.
And then you just watch how the system reacts.
Exactly. How does Marwan react? Does he get more scared? Does he light a torch sooner? You get to influence the mood, not the plot. You're a subtle god, not a puppeteer.
And because it's a simulation, every viewing is a traversal. I love that word.
It's the perfect word.
Gotcha.
Traversal. The anchors ensure Marwan always finds the chamber.
Yeah.
That's the plot. That's the promise. But the emergence ensures the texture of that journey is always unique.
So in my viewing.
Maybe in your viewing, he finds it boldly, striding in after solving a riddle quickly. Maybe in my viewing, he hesitates for 5 minutes at the entrance, terrified, whispering to himself, and only goes in because a rock fall blocks his escape.
Same outcome, totally different emotional journey.
It's the same play, but a different performance.
It really is like live theater in that way. No two nights on Broadway are identical, even if the script is the same. The energy is different. The timing of a laugh is different. A dropped line.
Exactly. And that brings a specialized value back to the viewing experience. It feels alive because it is alive. It's happening right now for you, and it will never happen in that exact same way again.
Now let's talk about the future, because this all sounds incredibly complex and expensive, but one of the most exciting things about this is the concept of scalable authorism.
This is the radical promise. This is the part that could change everything. Right now, to make a Marvel movie, you need 3,000 people and $200 million.
And a decade of planning.
And a decade of planning. To make a AAA video game, it's the same story. Synthia proposes that a single person, a system architect, could create a work of that scale.
Just one person. That seems impossible.
One person with a laptop. The source specifically mentions that the prototype was running on an RTX 4050. That's a standard gaming laptop card. It's not some supercomputer cluster.
How is that possible?
Because you aren't animating every eyebrow raise. You aren't lighting every shot manually. You are defining the rules. You define the universe. You define the characters. You set the anchors. And the system does the heavy lifting of execution.
You shift from being a director to a system architect.
Or a world builder.
Yeah.
You aren't filming a story. You are setting the initial conditions for a universe and hitting run. You are the god of that small world.
Is this real? Can we do this today? Or is this 10 years away?
It's not science fiction. That's the crazy part. The individual components exist right now.
We have Unreal Engine 5.
We have metahumans for realistic characters. We have powerful LLMs like GPT-4 or Gemini. The tools are all on the table.
So the innovation isn't a new piece of tech.
No. The innovation of Synthia is the architecture connecting them. It's the correct triangle we talked about, the mind, body, and law working in harmony. It's a new way of thinking, not a new microchip.
The sources call this the silent film era of AI. I like that.
It's a great analogy. When cinema started, it was primitive. Black and white, no sound, mostly just short clips of a train arriving at a station.
And people were blown away.
They were.
Yeah.
We are there right now with Synthia. We are building the basic grammar. We are figuring out what a close-up even means in a computed narrative. But the leap from the silent era to the jazz singer was fast. This leap will be too.
It feels like we are standing on the edge of something absolutely massive.
We are. We are looking at a potential 11th art form. And that's not hyperbole.
Let's unpack that significance as we wrap up. Why does this matter so much? Why isn't this just a better video game or a cheaper movie?
Because it bridges a fundamental gap between the two. Cinema gives you powerful emotion, but it's a passive experience. You're a receiver.
And games give you agency, but they often sacrifice narrative depth and emotional immersion for the sake of gameplay loops.
Exactly. The Synthia gives you both. It gives you the passive emotional immersion of a great film, but the active, living, unpredictable nature of a complex system.
It's the reality mirror. That's the phrase from the manifesto.
That's the philosophical grounding. And it's so smart. Synthia mirrors reality not because it's a perfect photorealistic simulation.
But because it follows the same fundamental rule.
The rule of coherence without central scripting.
What does that mean?
It means it has no plot holes. Because, like real life, it relies on causality, not a scriptwriter's convenience.
Real life doesn't have plot holes. It just has things we don't understand yet.
Exactly. Reality relies on cause and effect. One thing leads to another. Synthia forces narrative to follow that same unbreakable law. If there are no plot holes in Kemet's enigma, It's not because the writer was incredibly clever.
Huh.
It's because the system forbids them. You
Mhm.
can't have a plot hole if the physics of the world don't allow it to happen.
That is a profound thought. The story becomes honest.
It is computable honesty. The system can't lie to itself.
So I want to leave our listeners with the final provocative thought to mull over. We talked about neural thespians having memories, having fears, acting on their own beliefs. We've talked about a world that reacts to those beliefs in a causal way.
Here is the question that keeps me up at night, the one the manifesto hints at. If we can build these narrative systems where independent agents mar one other characters, act on their own beliefs to create a coherent history, if we can build a world that makes sense without a central script, are we just making entertainment? Or are we building a laboratory to understand the very structure of our own reality? What happens when the Thespians start surprising the architect?
What happens when Marwan refuses to enter the chamber?
Exactly. What if he refuses not because of a bug, but because his sphere vector and his memory graph create a completely rational objection that the author didn't anticipate?
When the simulation talks back.
When the simulation talks back,
Yeah.
are we still just storytelling?
Or are we playing with the source code of existence itself?
That's the question.
On that note, I think I need to go stare at a wall for a while and rethink my existence. This has been a deep dive into the future of storytelling. Kemet's Enigma and the Rise of Synthia. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
We'll catch you in the next simulation.